Some considerable percentage of human beings are asleep, always, and many are awake. And so if the world soul is made of the collective consciousness of human beings, then it is never entirely awake. It is never entirely asleep.
Existence, the physical universe, is basically playful. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it doesn't have some destination.
Welcome to Paranomaly, episode 4. I'm Ben, aka Paranomaly, and this is Heva, aka Swaggerprods.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Heva, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm productive, making music and stuff. But let's get straight in today with a strange... I think we could call this... Well, it is actually from a historical mystery site, so it's a historical paranormal case, and it is called the Lead Masks Case. And briefly, I'll read from the article, which is taken from Historic Mysteries. A pair of strange deaths occurred in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1966. To this day, the deaths of the two men, found under what can only be described as unique circumstances, have yet to be explained. In fact, it is still unclear whether the deaths were self-induced, worthy of a pair of Darwin Awards, or murder. The deaths are odd enough given that two relatively healthy middle-aged men just up and died together, but there are also a handful of objects with the men that made the case even more confusing and led to its popular name, the Lead Masks Case. And in essence, two men were found dead with matching suits and lead-shaped glasses that they had made for themselves, and they had a strange note on them, and the note said to go to this place and take this I think it was a poison, but they thought that, who knows what they thought it was, and then they were supposed to meet someone, but they had died from the poison. And it's just I'm looking at the pictures, and I had seen the pictures of the lead glasses. It's a really bizarre case, because these two guys were just ordinary plumbers, or electricians, I think they were, but they were really into UFO stuff. Yeah. And it says, in one of the notes that was found on their dead bodies, it was translated, and there's a part of the note that says, "Wait for mask signal," which means they were waiting for someone to tell them to put on their masks. But then they took this formula that they had with them, which I don't think they was able to find out what the formula was, and they both just dropped dead. This is strange.
Yeah. It's very bizarre, and they had the rain jackets because I guess their rain was in the forecast. They had towels with them, and there are no toxicology tests done on them, so they have no idea. They had. I can't. I don't know. I mean, this is Brazil in the 60s. I don't know what kind of, apparently the city, from what I understand, is a wealthier part of Brazil. But still, I mean, you would think there'd be a toxicology report. I don't know. It sort of reminds me of the whole Heaven's Gate cult thing in terms of like what was found on them and how they matched.
What was the Heaven's Gate cult?
Do you remember in 1997 the Hale-Bopp comet?
Yeah, I think so.
That was, yeah, you might have been, so young. But I was in college at the time. No, you weren't that young.
No.
But it was visible to the naked eye. And I remember I felt like I was living in a Lars von Trier movie. It was so freaky. You could see it, and I remember like I'd walk home from class and like look in the sky and see this giant comet in the sky. And I had a friend whose dad was a reverend, and he was talking about how it was the end of the world. Well, so anyway, there's Heaven's Gate cult. It's actually been around. It was around since 74, I think. But in 97, they really made huge news because, long story short, they found them all. They had suicided themselves, thinking they were going to go up to heaven or escape the earth in a UFO that was riding on the tail, or hidden behind the tail of the Hale-Bopp comet.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had...
Sorry, was this the one that was in the jungle somewhere? They made a camp in the jungle.
No, I think in the Jonestown Massacre.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm getting confused.
This was actually in San Diego, California.
Oh, surprise.
All right. But they had like matching track outfits on and like these brand new matching Nikes, and they all had $5 and like 35 cents in their pocket, or $5.75 in their pocket. And so it kind of that sort of thing reminded me of this. And then I read another part of this story about the lead masks case where the towels were wet.
I haven't seen that
Well,
part.
yeah, it's weird. And then apparently the cops went into Miguel's home, one of the men that was murdered or whatever happened to him.
Yeah.
Went to his workshop and found the tools and the scraps that he most likely made the lead masks out of.
Yeah.
And he had a notebook, and it was a passage that said intense luminosity related to spirits, like ghosts. So
strange.
He could have been it's almost like he expected to be exposed to intense luminosity.
Yeah, definitely.
You might want to choose to protect your eyes with the lead mask. So I'm wondering what they were up to. It's almost like they expected to go out there and be exposed to some sort of spirits, or they were doing some kind of spirit working and fashion these lead masks. So it kind of like, to me, when I was reading all this, it sort of kind of reminded me of the whole Heaven's Gate thing, because part of their thing was suicide is against the cult, but they get around it because it's like they believe that there's impending doom on Earth, and if you're doing it to escape this doom and get off the planet and go into this spaceship, then it's okay to kill yourself.
Yeah, it's like a form
It was 39 people.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, 2 people. There are 39 people that suicided themselves.
That's kind of
But
like
it makes you wonder.
euthanasia, isn't it? Like they look at it like that. But these two guys,
Yeah.
they pretty much went to the middle of nowhere, and with this, I think they went with the knowledge that they would come back, because in the article it says that they bought some bottles of water, which in Brazil, and it was the type of bottled water that you return the bottle to get. I think you get money back, or it's like they could have
your deposit.
Yeah, they could have got like a throwaway bottle. As well, actually, 1966. Yeah, they must have been able to just get any sort of water, but they specifically got this water that you take back. You take the bottle back. So, I think they were intending to survive the encounter of whatever they were expecting to encounter. But really strange story.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, didn't the woman that sold it, that was a shopkeeper where they bought that stuff from before they went off, said that they were kind of agitated and looking at their watches and
Oh yeah.
not behaving
They were
normal.
yeah. No, they definitely weren't normal, but they seemed like kind of normal guys, both electricians, and then they just go and do this crazy following a note, take some potion, and then they'd both die with lead glasses on. And to this day, it remains a mystery. And I only just found out about this, so I'm gonna, if I remember to, I will search every now and again and see what actually happens to this story, because it seems to have resurfaced recently, because that's how I found it. I think I saw it on YouTube first. But yeah, so it could have been aliens, or it could have been some sort of paranormal activity. But that leads us nicely onto our next story, which is a 1,200 foot wide UFO reported over the Gulf of Mexico. And briefly from the article, a crew member of an offshore supply ship claimed the object was 5 times the size of his vessel. The encounter, which has since been reported to the National UFO Reporting Center, occurred on Tuesday in an area approximately 80 miles to the southeast of New Orleans. And there's a quote: "Close to 7 p.m. on March 21st, just before dusk, myself and 4 of the crew members aboard our vessel saw a craft that appeared to be 5 times our 240-foot vessel in length," the man wrote. "The craft rose up out of the water in the Gulf of Mexico about 40 feet. No water was dripping from the craft. Within a split second, the craft disappeared at a 30-degree angle into the sky." It then goes on to say, "This report was considered so compelling, in fact, that the NUFORC has highlighted it as one of the most significant of its recent submissions and is now actively seeking other witnesses." So, what do you think of this one, Heva? We got a 1,200 foot UFO sighting by multiple people on a boat. Perhaps 50 people may have witnessed this event off the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, this is an interesting one for sure, and I've seen almost not as much, obviously, but there's a huge amount of underwater UFO phenomena. I believe
Yes.
Bill Cooper even talks about it in his book, because he was in the Navy, and he had seen anomalies come out from the ocean. And I'm not sure what they're
They're called USOs.
there's UFO flying, USO, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unidentified submarine
And there's
object.
There's also there's a book that was recently written, Russia's UFO Secrets, Unidentified Submersible Objects in Russia, and it's all about the secret Russian alien wars beneath the sea. So evidently at least one person thinks there's some sort of actual war going on beneath the sea between Russia and aliens.
It's possible. It could more likely be Russia and America technology sort of underwater. Like there is there might be a space war, there might be an underwater war. But I mean, this one, it being 1,200 feet wide, I mean that's huge. And
it's huge.
Yeah, and it said, I like that they said it came out of the water, but no water was dripping off it. And that's a kind of strange thing to make up I think, and it's also it's a real. I think that's a kind of observation that if it really did happen, that's the kind of thing that you would notice. But you that's also the kind of thing that you, in your imagination, I can't see someone making that up. What do you think?
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think that if that did indeed happen, that it probably is some sort of like our technology. Because constantly you hear about Russia and China, and we do it to them. You know, they'll sneak up submarines and all kinds of things into our Gulf. And I'm sure, you know, we have the stealth bomber we found out about, like, when they released that we had it. That was like 30 years after that thing's already been happening. I'm sure they have all kinds of things we don't know about it. And it's probably, just one of our military things. Also, there's this alleged UFO base, and it's funny they call it a UFO base and it's underwater.
Where's that? What?
Because it's not fun. That's actually over here. That's near the Gulf of California. And if you look on Google Earth, you can see it. It's like grids under the water, and it's like 70-something miles across.
Shit.
And they say it's probably some sort of like military thing, but they call it a UFO base.
I definitely would not like to go anywhere near that on a boat or fly over it. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, aliens are us. I don't like it. I don't care who's
There might be.
Who's in charge of it?
Remember that film? What was it called? Abyss? Is it no?
Yeah.
Is that it?
The Abyss is the one that had that being that looked like water and it made a face like it could turn into.
That was scary when I was little. I haven't watched it recently. I haven't watched it as an adult, but I'm sure that film used to scare me because he goes down into like the Mariana Trench, don't he?
Oh, that freaks me out.
Yeah.
I don't like anything water related. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, me too.
Anything like shipwreck footage, like when they show the Titanic or any other ship that's sunk, it just
it's too dark.
I don't like it. Yeah.
And plus,
I don't like being
No, if you could see through all the water, and it would still be scary because it would be like being on top of a massive skyscraper. It's so deep. It'd be like being on a mountain looking down, and I wouldn't like to see what is lurking in the deep, especially if there's like 1,200 feet UFOs like cruising around underwater. What do you think aliens could be doing in the ocean?
There's a whole ecosystem there. I mean, I guess as much as they could be doing in the skies. Yeah. But also, that was near the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill. And there's still derricks out there, and they think that surely the people that work on... I mean, those are the kind of oil... It's not just an oil pump in the ocean. This is like a gigantic thing that men sleep on. They work on it and sleep on it for months at a time. So they had to have seen it. Maybe those are the 50 people, but it's suspiciously close to the BP, to that Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
That's strange. They might even be after the oil. Maybe they can get it.
Yeah.
Maybe they get it from the ocean, or maybe they know the ocean's a pretty sweet place to hide because no one's going to go down there.
It's so massive. I mean, you can't even look how often that we get surprised by NEOs, or the near Earth object asteroids, that because some amateur astronomer finds it, because there's so much to cover of the space. I mean, that's the same thing with the ocean.
Is it still the case that I think they say we've only explored 5% of the ocean?
I'm sure. I mean, look at even that Malaysian airline. Like, I lost track because like 3 of them.
Yeah, there's 3 now.
Disappeared, but the first one that completely disappeared. You know how long they were searching and what they thought was the flight path of that, but just that bit where they had it triangulated to where it could have been.
Yeah.
couldn't even touch like a percentage of where that plane could have gone down.
Now that was a
And
strange story in itself.
That's when you
wasn't it?
know on radar approximately where it went down.
Those planes going missing. That I'm not a fan of flying. I don't travel
Me
at all.
either.
But after those, that made me want to fly even less, because it's just especially the way we assume that where the technology we got, we can. How the fuck does a plane go missing? Like with all the GPS and everything, you thought they would have devised a way so that there'd be certain things that they could detect on the plane, even if it breaks into 1,000 pieces. But nope.
Yeah. And well, we could do a whole show just on that alone, on that story alone, because one of the deals with that was, you're right, they have a lot of different radar on those airplanes, and the radar was turned off like right before someone like flipped the switch or was disabled. So that was part of the problem, is that one of the major tracking beacons on that plane was turned off.
I know, and they say,
which makes it even more mysterious.
And I think I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on this, but wasn't the final conclusion that, well, the pilot was just mental and he wanted to kill himself, so he turned it off and then he flew all these innocent people into the ocean, which I find even harder to believe than some of the far out theories that maybe they got abducted by aliens and stuff.
Aliens. There's one that they actually landed on some base that we have out there. I forgot the name of it. Yeah, there's a few. I mean, it seems the most likely, even though that the German pilot just did that, a year or two ago. He slammed the plane right in the mountain, allegedly. I think there's a lot.
I can't see people
story too.
I don't know. Really. I would. It's quite a deep subject, but suicide is a really selfish act, and I think there's very, very, very few cases where someone would take other people with them. They'd much rather do it on their own and have no one be involved. But saying that, actually, we got a thing. We got jumpers. That's the term. That's probably the term you get. But our jumpers don't necessarily jump off buildings. They jump onto the train tracks.
Yes, we do get those.
Yeah, in a way, some people do actually seek to affect other people, but they're not actually killing people. They're just jumping in front of a train. But yeah, that's a weird one, isn't it? So, do you want to take us on to our next story? Because I actually can't view it because it's a California thing.
The California is the top state with the most UFO sightings, speaking of which, and my little underwater UFO base out in the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of the San Francisco Gate, no less. This is according to the new UFO reference book, which it's a loaded. Okay, who's your publisher? I don't know, but yeah, California is the number one place, followed by Florida, Texas, Washington, Pennsylvania. So, according to this book, the National UFO. This is actually the NUFO. FORC that you mentioned in the previous article.
New folk.
Yeah, that's the National UFO Reporting Center. And MUFON, which, if anyone follows UFOs or, whatever they're calling them now. Yeah. So from 2000 to 2015, explains the author, California is leading the way in UFO sightings. So, it's a almost 400-page book. There's been more than 100. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just read the article.
Page 1 to...
Yeah, sorry. Think you may have caught a glimpse of a metal sphere-shaped object looming in the night sky above? Well, you're not alone. According to the new UFO reference book, self-published by 2 UFO experts, California is the top state with the most UFO sightings in the country. California, followed by Florida, Texas, Washington, and Pennsylvania, respectively. New York came in 6th, followed by Arizona, Michigan. No one cares. Just care about
California. So, you get more UFO sightings than anywhere else in America? Or is it even the world?
That's the thing, because I believe, well, we're number one in the U.S., and then the U.S. is number one in the world. So out of 120,000 in a 14-year period, well, you have to buy the book to get all the stats, apparently.
Why do you think they
out of
why do you think that there would be more sightings in California than any other state in America?
Well, personally, I think because of the huge amount of military bases that we have here, and I think they're probably military aircraft or military experiments, and we do have a lot of missile testing. Like, I don't know if the last one I think made national news. I was in Michigan at the time, so I was visiting Michigan, and I was all bummed. I'm like, damn it, I missed it. But it was a huge deal. It was reported from 5 states at least, this huge thing in the air, and I saw pictures of it, because tons of people recorded it. It was 9 in the evening. This huge green thing going through the sky, and it ended up, well, so they say, was a missile test.
A green missile?
Yeah, it couldn't have been your traditional missile. It had to be some sort of plasma something or other.
Definitely.
I think that's why. I mean, there's a lot of military bases. There's a lot of testing. There's a lot of, and obviously they're kind of on the defense too, because what I mentioned earlier about, other countries' submarines kind of sneaking around. Feasibly, we could be hit by North Korea. I think they do allegedly have something that can hit California, or so so they say.
Yeah. Well.
So it.
Go on.
Yeah, I think that's probably it, and then I think the other states that follow it, Florida, Texas, Washington, those are also by the ocean. So that kind of makes sense that they're going to be testing stuff off those areas. I mean, they're all...
Yeah. It could be. It could be. Because it's by the coast, it might be that there are actually... There's the same coverage of UFOs over the whole of the United States, but because it's by the coast, more people are actually out to see it. Whereas in the city, we tend to we look at our feet and we sit in our houses, but people by the coast are much more outgoing. They surf and they like going to the beach.
True.
Yeah, so maybe they notice them more. Well, you should definitely...
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah, you should set up a telescope and stuff like that and keep your eyes peeled, because it would be good if you could actually witness a UFO and for part of one of our Paranormaly shows.
I have one on tape. I saw one in Michigan, and I went through this phase where I constantly had my video camera on me. This was before college. I went to school for film, but before that, I always had, I got this video camera for my birthday or Christmas or something, and it was before, obviously, cell phones.
Yeah, it was
not too big. I mean, no. Bigger than palm size, because this is before they shrunk them down, and way before you had a cell phone that can record everything now.
Got a funny picture of you walking around with a massive camera on a strap on your back and skating around.
With a bow staff.
Yeah, with a bow staff and rollerblades. No, quads and quad skates. Yeah, no, that's a cool image. Okay then, so how far are we through Paranormaly? We're into 29 minutes. So we'll take a musical break, and this song is a favourite of mine and Heva's and Radio Confluence's, even though they can't speak for themselves, but they all love it. It's their favourite song. It's called. This is
It's my
Heva's.
favorite.
Yeah, this is Heva's Cube of Saturn.
Radio Confluence. This is Swagger France. Some dance, some dance, some dance, some dance her night away to this.
That was the Heva's Cube of Saturn by Paranomaly, and it's a nice song. We like that done, don't we, Heva?
We do. It made my best of 2016 year-end show.
Yes, it's the only list it did make. But it's the only list that matters. Anyway, I like it still. It's one of those tracks that I can't recreate because I had a certain feeling at the time or certain vibe. So on to our next story for tonight's Paranomaly, and we are looking at NASA never before seen photos. I won't read from the story because I've followed this quite a lot, and I think on the 30th of March, so 2 days ago, new photos were released from NASA of the moon landings, or not the moon landings, just new photos that have not been released before that date, and they were released to Time magazine. And I'm not sure, maybe Heva can go into the history of Time magazine. I'm not sure if it's like a kind of not a fake news thing, but whether it has links to the government and whatnot, because why would Time magazine be able to get these pictures that no one else has ever seen except for NASA. So NASA has released images that they've been holding back for a good 50 years now, and they've only just come out, and they show pictures from inside the LEM, pictures of the rover on the moon, and it's really strange, I think, that these photos have just come out. So what do you think about that, these new photos, Heva?
Yeah, well, I have this new thing that I've found that I'm either really gullible, really naive, don't know shit about history, or have had some major Mandela effect thing happening, because I truly thought that the only time we went up to the moon was in what was it 69? 67.
Yeah, something like that. Around it.
And that's where the whole conspiracy theory came, that you can't cross the Van Allen belt, there's no way, Kubrick did it in the desert, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's why we've never been back. I swear this is what the narrative was in my brain. And then when I started looking at these pictures, I'm like, why are they referencing Apollo 13 never made it, but 12, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
I'm like, we've been up there like 6 times. I didn't. So right there, I'm like, and then it got to me thinking, like, why is the we've never been to the moon thing even a conspiracy theory? Like, I could see it stemming from the first flight.
Yeah.
But, I mean, come on.
I know.
You're going to fake... I've been to JPL, all right? And I thought this kind of thing before that, well, and it could be, but it's a goddamn Truman Show prank if we've never been up anywhere. Because when you go to JPL, I mean, there's scientists making I saw them making the next Mars rover. I mean, we're going into space. There's no way. Now, that's not to say that there isn't any other kind of clandestine things going on. Of course there are. But to say that, to be to the level where you're saying the Earth is flat.
Yeah, I know.
And it's a hologram, and we've never been to space. Like, that's a lot of money and a lot of history.
Yeah.
And a lot of people getting PhDs for this. And they're all weird. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of weird shit going on at JPL, but... to say we've never been in space. Yes, I'm sorry, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena. Yes. Founded by Jack Parsons, who we could do another whole show on that.
Yeah. Well,
but, yeah.
No, I agree. It's one of those things, I think even conspiracy theorists that don't believe in the moon landings will often concede, that we believe that they went the last few times, but the first one they faked. But it does. It's a really strange, because the fact that these photos are coming out now, 50 years or 60 years after the Mao, and they've never been seen before, and just most, I think, conspiracy theorists and people in general, when it comes to the moon landings, it's kind of a sixth sense thing where people just think there's something not quite right there, and it might not be that they faked it and they didn't go to the moon. I think a more believable theory is that maybe they found something that they don't want anyone to know that they found, or...
That's my take on it, exactly.
Yeah. They might have gone up there and found that on the moon there's like some sort of tablet and it says "Made in China." Like,
it's a satellite. It is. They found out that it really is a hollow satellite floating out there, like they think.
Well, they say it's hollow, don't they?
That's one of the that's one of the theories.
Potentially. I mean, even scientists are saying that they're not sure what the actual core of the moon is. But it's, I think, the human race will need to see America or Russia go back there and film the sites again before anyone will ever before it quells the conspiracy theorists. But you know what, those type of conspiracy theorists are the most kind of feverish. Like, they won't. No evidence seems to move them from thinking that NASA faked the moon landings. Even if someone went up there now with a HD camera, streamed it back, they'd still come out with some sort of thing. I don't think that sort of type of conspiracy theorist will never be satisfied with any evidence that says NASA went to the moon. But these photos, I mean, why now? It's just really strange. It's not an anniversary or anything. It's just a random date in time, and they've just dropped another load. Apollo 7 to Apollo
17. Apollo 11. I believe it's 11 to 17.
In this article, it says a group of European designers have selected the best of the unpolished images for a new book, Apollo 7 to Apollo 17.
Oh.
So maybe that includes just the orbit, like when they went into orbit.
The flybys, right?
Yeah.
Well, what gets me about them is the quality of them, because I watch, I was a filmmaker. That was my major, was television production.
Yeah.
Specifically. And they don't have cameras that good now. And I understand we're talking about like a Hollywood, a sitcom versus JPL with, God knows how much, but why couldn't we have that technology? Because they're amazing photos. They're photos that I would guess, well, we've seen, you and I we follow a lot of these space probes, and a lot of those photos are they're touched. I'm not saying, I'm not going there that they're fake, whatever, but like the TRAPPIST photos are like pixelated photos, and then the shit they show us is like these amazing planets. I mean, those are all like renderings, and
well, they're usually
you can't tell me in like the 60s they had.
No, well, they used Hasselblad cameras, didn't they? And the Hasselblad cameras, apparently, the ones that they used then are still, you can still use now. They're still a really good camera to use.
Oh, okay.
I think Hasselblad is the best sort of camera makers, because NASA didn't make those cameras. They retrofitted.
No, I know.
Yeah, they went to Hasselblad because they were the best in the world and still are, I think. And then they retrofitted them with some extra little things, but that's a whole other subject. So let's move on to our next.
Well, no, that's the thing. I was wondering is like, why now? And I was just thinking, because I don't know if you saw there's a bunch of photos that came out on the Pentagon after 9/11. Those came out this week too.
Did they?
All of a sudden. Well, like what a controversy that is too, because there's cameras everywhere, and everyone thinks that a plane didn't really hit the Pentagon.
Yeah.
That it was a missile. That's the whole conspiracy theory. So within the same week, these photos and those photos both came out, which I thought was interesting, because one of the first photos they show in this new trove of, previously unreleased photos about the Pentagon incident on 9/11 is the tail of a plane, which I'm saying is the tail of a plane, because if you know what an American Airlines plane looks like, it's the red stripes. So, and that's the plane that allegedly was supposed to never have, that's the whole theory, it was never a plane that hit it. And the first photo they show is a crumpled up piece of, it's obviously from a plane. You can see the rivet marks. You can see the American Airlines stripes on it. And I'm like, well, what are they going to do with this? It's like, okay, well, there's a piece of well, that was staged. They could have put that, they crumpled up a piece of a plane and took a picture. My point is there's no satiating somebody that thinks that it's completely fake. And
with that one, I when I first heard about the Pentagon and and people were saying must have been a missile. I did agree with that. I kind of thought, yeah, it probably was a missile, because why wouldn't they release the camera footage or any photos? But then there was some photos that they did release very early on, was lampposts knocked down.
I remember
I kind
that.
of thought, there's no way they fucking went there in a van and knocked the lamppost over and then shot a missile into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that happened. Oh Jesus, this could be another episode. One of the reasons I don't like flying is because of I think it was in '97. There was a catastrophic plane crash at Detroit Metro Airport, which is an airport near me. That was the one where like only one little girl, a 3-year-old, survived in a plane of like 170 something people.
Shit.
But it hit. Yeah, where I usually rent a car when I come in to go home, the plane hit. It was the same like trajectory, and the reason that they didn't put the wing flaps up, so it was going down anyway. But it clipped a light post just like that with a wing. Same deal.
Yes.
If a missile's coming, well, with the velocity of the missile is going to knock it down. But that's the exact kind of thing that happens if a plane hits it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if I would think if a missile hit the lamppost, the missile would explode.
It would be obliterate. Well, yeah, it's not going to fall down in the fashion that fell down in, for sure, either way.
Well, I'll have to look those up, because I haven't seen those yet. But yeah, that'd be interesting. So, have you got our next story up, Heva?
I have, going back to aliens, that a physicist warns that aliens are here to plant and quarantine the Earth. Or do you want to go to the rogue planet?
Let's do the rogue planet.
Yeah, so they think it is an exoplanet. An exoplanet is a planet that orbits a star outside our solar system, so...
Yeah.
But there's a lot of controversy on whether it's a planet or a brown dwarf, and then you're getting into, like, well, it's not a star because stars have a certain... The reason it's a star is because it has so much pressure that it could do something to an atom, like, sciencey stuff.
Fusion.
No one's interested. Yeah. Right. So they know it's not a star, but they have recently discovered this, and it's quite beautiful.
Are you looking at the
A
blue?
bluish metallic thing.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
an
so with the
artist's impression, though, isn't it? That one.
Right. Well, I have. Well, that is yes. No, I don't know, because I read several articles on this, and
Okay.
well, if I read the article, we'll get to it. So, since NASA announced the discovery of the TRAPPIST-1 system, the internet briefly lost its mind with conjectures of these possibly habitable alien worlds. While those worlds might indeed harbor life, it is too early to tell. Based on the distance to TRAPPIST-1 system, we might not know for decades. Just this week, however, a baffling exoplanet announced by French astronomers has once more caught the attention of space geeks everywhere, like us, and demonstrated that there are plenty of strange new worlds left to discover in the reaches of deep space. The announcement concerns the object CFBDSIR 21490403.
Oh yeah.
If you're not into the whole brevity
I know
thing,
that one.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Kabuftza, that one.
So it was first spotted in 2012, and it appeared to be a low-mass brown dwarf planet in the initial study. But now it might be a rogue planet. So the rogue planets kind of freely they float about space. They don't orbit a star like a proper planet does.
And they wear a cape.
So they're trying to basically figuring out what the heck this thing is.
It looks interesting. It's strange that we wouldn't know about all these sort of planets in our solar system by now, or that are it. Because this is in our solar system, isn't it? No, it says
No, it's exo. Yeah, it's if it's an exoplanet, then it's that by definition is outside of our solar system.
It's this is the one that's in the region that the TRAPPIST one that, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about 1,800 trillion kilometers from Earth.
Stone's throw.
18 trillion. Yeah, 18 trillion. So that's outside our solar system. I know because I know Voyager for sure is crossed outside of the what is it? The heliosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's kind of like the dividing line between us and way outer space, and that's not gone 18 trillion kilometers away.
No,
it's gone a long distance. But yeah, so this is another galaxy.
It's cool that we can still find these things, but do you know, like, it's a rogue planet and it's not orbiting anything, so it could potentially crash into another planet or
right,
crash into our planet.
Well, right, because that's exactly it. There's no determining trajectory. If it's a rogue planet, that means it's not, it has some wonky orbit, if it has an orbit, or maybe it is the Death Star and it's powered by aliens. That's why it seems to be kind of free floating, because it's
got its engines and stuff.
You're not gonna have an orbit around something.
Well, it reminds me of the I'm not sure if I spoke about it on Paranomaly or in Radcon chat, but scientists can't create water. Like we can't make it because of the amount of energy it takes to produce water, like to actually create it, to synthesize water. So another theory of how water came to Earth is by not just panspermia and comets hitting us, but actually a whole another planet hitting us, and that might have potentially created the moon and created water on the planet in such abundance because of the pressures that were created when the two planets collided. So maybe these rogue planets are actually part of the whole ecosystem of the universe, and maybe we need them to crash into other planets to make water, to make fish that we can turn into humans.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, that's a good story. I like the rogue planets, and that was from Mysterious Universe, wasn't it? So I shouldn't hype them, but because they're another podcast in our vein, they do paranormal stuff. So let's go on to our next story. And how long have we got left? We have 8 minutes left, so we could we'll skip the alien one. No. We could go on to, what's the Antarctica one, Heva?
That's the one, the mysterious green ice spreading around Antarctica.
Green ice, yeah.
Let's
do this one.
Yeah, which appears to be probably, I think, a phytoplankton bloom, an algae bloom, so around the slush of the seawater. So out of our nemesis, Mysterious Universe again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out that Iceland is more green than icy, while Greenland is more icy than green, which I always thought interesting. Did the Vikings do that to confuse people or something?
Possibly.
A mysterious and massive area of green ice has appeared on satellite images, and researchers are scrambling to explain it before it attracts boatloads of St. Patrick's Day partiers. Haha, you guys are lame. Womp womp.
Yeah. So
it was spotted by the Operational Land Imager OLI. That's a camera that NASA sent up. That's takes like 700 photos a day. It sort of has been surveying. They talked about that when I went on the JPL tour. So it's growing rapidly. To me, it's like a normal, excuse me. a normal thing that occurs. Like, it might be occurring too early than normal.
Yeah.
But, of course, everyone's saying aliens.
Well, it is
UFO.
strange that, I mean, if they're seeing it from space, it must be quite a large area of ice.
It's 650 square miles.
Shit. This might have an effect on
and
the
it's
climate.
growing rapidly.
Remember from Shadow Citizen when Ben was on from Suspicious Observers, and he's talking about Aledo. Is it Aledo? Where
Yeah, and you even looked it up.
yeah,
I remember.
where the light reflects, the sunlight reflects off white surfaces, and that's kind of important to do with the greenhouse effect. So if it's all going green up there, then the sun's not going to be reflected as much into the atmosphere, and we're going to absorb more heat. So the whole world will heat up if there's North and South Pole or to go green all of a sudden. I think I'm not sure. I'm not.
That's our disclaimer. Neither Ben and I are scientists, so obviously we're giving our
but we
our
probably,
very educated opinion.
Yeah, our opinion's more valid than scientists because we don't do it for money. We do it for our own interest, and our listeners and our loyal fans. And we'll create merch soon. Don't worry. So you can all buy. We'll get T-shirts. Yeah, this is a strange story that I'm going to have to look at because I'm on the article now, and they're not actually showing like satellite pictures. So maybe if NASA, sneaky NASA, if they've got the photos and they're not releasing them, but they're just telling us, oh yeah, it's going green up there. Or have you seen photos of this actual green stuff?
Yeah, I'm looking at one now, and it is, you can definitely see the white of the land of Antarctica, and the green sneaks in, and then off. It's hard to judge. Okay, so 10 kilometers. It looks like about 30 kilometers off the mainland. You see the green. That's just the ocean's green. The land is green. It's pretty stunning. They say in April they're gonna send a expedition.
April.
There.
That's probably when the sun's because they have like 6 months of night, don't they?
Right. Yeah. So they have to kind of, I would imagine.
What was the link from that to aliens, though, that you said? Who thinks it's aliens? Why would they be doing that? Are they terraforming the Earth?
Yeah, I don't think it was from this article, actually. I think it's from another article that I didn't bring up, that I don't have handy, but they were saying that, and I had dismissed a number of websites that I'm sure you've seen that you sort of know, like, okay, it's beyond, what is that? Beyond
science.
Oh, above top secret, I think. Like websites like that that just kind of glom on to this sort of thing and then take it to another level. And those are the sites that are like, it's aliens putting it, right. Yeah, and so that's what they're referring to, is that sort of thing, because, of course, when you see something like this, you can't just say, well, it's an algae bloom. It's clearly radiation from Fukushima or aliens.
Oh.
And then you have the whole Antarctic thing, the Antarctic thing with a
hollow Earth.
Yeah, the hollow Earth, and then everybody that's been, you have Carrie that just visited, and the emergency lift of the astronaut that's what that was on the
Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
There's been a lot kind of going on there, so when you see something like this, it kind of gets that.
The Russian Orthodox Church leader went there as well, didn't he? He's quite important.
Right.
Quite an important fellow. He doesn't travel much either, so yeah, there's definitely something going on in the Antarctic. That's probably a whole other show as well. All the things that have happened on the South and North Pole. because we have reached the end, Heva.
So. Oh my god, it went so fast.
It did go fast. We're at 59:40 seconds, so...
We didn't even get to Tyrannosaurus Sex.
Yeah, Tyrannosaurus Sex. I have actually got that open. So we encourage our viewers to do their own research, and the first thing you should look at is Tyrannosaurus Sex. So thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks, Heva.
All right, thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Take care, everyone.